Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Raypower FM. My name is Amici Anakwan with Adeba Boduri, the Balogo of Ekiti. I'm also with Abulo Semwagu. I don't know what they call you in your place. But again, my name is Amici Anakwan. Nze Ezekweche Nkizi Nenugupu.
Alone means a lot of things.
It's not your father's name, it's your title name.
Yeah.
So you go and get one.
Udo.
Yeah. You're proposing to get it. Well, we have gotten ours a long time ago. So as a poet, I'm entitled to wear a red cap.
Wow.
And I'm also the conscience of my community and society. Kunla Adewale, I don't know whether it has a immediate, long-term or mid-term plans to acquire one in Ife, Osun State. But none. For now. Okay. But they say Nigerians are crazy for titles now. That's why you have Chief Doctor Barrister Sir Musa Okonkwo Taiwo.
Apostle Evangelist Doctor what's her name? The actress who challenged somebody interviewing her that she must be addressed properly.
So I don't know why there's this sudden crave for titles in Nigeria. But anyway, life goes on. You could say in the face of economic hardship and excruciating times, you resort to things that will really put you on a not serious mode in such a way that you can enjoy the trappings of life. But today, we'll be talking about the state of political parties in Nigeria. PDP, as our lead point, will be pitching with the situation in PDP, the appeal court judgment yesterday, how more governors are leaving the party. Governor of Zamfara, who vowed not to leave PDP. All those in Zamfara, they had vowed not to leave their parties. What was that Minister of State for Defense? He vowed that God will punish him if he leaves PDP. He left PDP and he lost the election, but God rewarded him with a Minister of State position.
He was so rewarded that 10 of his children got married in one day.
One day. So God punished him with loss of the governorship ticket, but rewarded him in other ways. There are so many people that have said in the past, I will not leave my party.
Because the Asiwaju is magnanimous with distributing appointment.
But the thing is that with the appeal court judgment, it has dawned on those members of the party that indeed they may not feel candidates during this next election. There are talks about appealing in the Supreme Court, and I hope they do, because the Supreme Court needs to interpret what a precedent is has set. Indeed, the judiciary should not be involved with internal affairs of parties. And if the matter gets to the Supreme Court, how long will it take the Supreme Court to deliver judgment? Remember, parties have between April 28th and May, end of May, to conclude primaries. Would anybody want to still keep faith with PDP, not knowing where it will swing? You may end up going an exercise in futility, and so apprehension may not allow anybody think of the PDP. That's why those that are remaining, the few ones that are remaining, are moving. Serake Dixon moved into his own party, his NDP, and who's left in PDP at the Badore?
Thank you, Amici. Good morning to Kunle and Abulu, and I say hello to our listeners and viewers on YouTube. You see, there is something in politics called the nullity doctrine. The nullity doctrine is when a plan crashes. And that is what has happened to the Makinde, Bala Mohammed, and the Turaki's group within the PDP. So they are with the Court of Appeal judgment. It means the convention in Ibadan cannot stand on anything because they faulted so many areas of it. So it has brought into the fore the nullity doctrine in politics. And what that one says is, now that the other group, the Wike group, now preaching for reconciliation and unity, what they seem not to accept before. And I am declaring that it's no victor, no vanquish. Will the other group accept? So, and if they decide to proceed to Supreme Court, will they be able to complete the processes that will lead to the compilation of their membership list that they can participate in the election? I do recall vividly that during the Okosilesi Nwodo tenure as chairman of PDP, they embarked on e-registration of membership. Also, in not too distant past, the then governor of Edo State, Obaseki, was appointed as chairman of a committee to carry out membership registration for PDP. Was it done? Was it concluded? These are questions that one will keep on asking as we move forward. Because if they lash on it, would they do a clean-up? Because if they have completed that process, those who have defected, they'll probably be on the list. It means they have to do a clean-up. So I see the way things are going. For the first time since the return to democratic rule in 1999, PDP may not be on the ballot. I'm not an apostle of doom, but that is my own interpretation of what is happening. Is that there is a critical issue. Now you have a caretaker committee that is proclaiming itself as the leadership of the party.
And they said they will hold their convention 28th of
even
March.
Tomorrow they are holding a meeting. The secretary of the caretaker committee, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, his suspension was upheld. Can somebody on suspension upheld by the Court of Appeal will he still be sitting as secretary of the caretaker committee? So these are issues and questions that I think, unless they are properly resolved, PDP may not be on the ballot. I'm not an apostle of doom, but that's my prediction.
You're not an apostle of doom, Kunle. Some people even PDP members had announced that the party was in an intensive care unit of a hospital before. You know, when a patient is on ICU, even the doctors will tell you it's out of our hands. We'll do what we gotta do. Then the rest is from the Almighty.
Well, we have a proverb. Good morning first to my colleagues and to all our listeners and those who are watching us on YouTube. There's a proverb in Yoruba that says that it is you with your own hands, you will mold your fortunes. Or when it's left to the members of the PDP. If they want the party to survive, whatever permutations, whatever calculations we are coming up with, the critical thing is that the wranglings that the party is going through right now will disallow the party from being able to even properly put itself in position to contest an election. That's one. Two, the Turaki faction says it will go to the Supreme Court. It's their right to do so. But to what end? By the time the Supreme Court sits and rules on the matter, the PDP cannot.
Supreme Court can do it this month if they so desire.
But they have a backlog of cases.
No,
it's not the only
they
case
should
before
give
them.
it priorities. Constitution, political issues are given priority by the judiciary.
Is there a rule that says that?
No, by practice.
By practice. If they choose not to do it, it's also at their discretion.
And that's why I'm particularly worried with what the Court of Appeal did with this matter. This matter lingered in the Court of Appeal for months, and there's no justifiable reason why it should be so.
Well, it's not just the Court of Appeal. If you recall the Fubara case
In the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court lingered for months.
More than 6 months.
More than. And then the state of emergency itself came to an end. It shows that is what is pointing to the accusation of so many people that the judiciary is involving itself in politics.
In politics, we shouldn't
more than the quest for justice.
So they should give justice, not politics.
I think it goes beyond politics. I think the judiciary needs to reinvent itself. The police also have a lot of work to do, because apart from political cases, what about criminal cases? How quickly are they decided? How quickly is justice dispensed? We need to take a look at all of these things. We've been talking about all these reforms for years and years now. They haven't happened. It only comes to light when there are high-profile cases like the PDP cases,
Yes.
like the Fubara case, like the local government fund cases. These are high-profile cases that attract the attention of the entire nation. But what about those small cases? For one case to go from High Court and terminate in the Supreme Court sometimes takes up to 10 or 15 years.
Sometimes 20.
Sometimes 20. By then, all meaning would have been lost.
And meaningful foreign investor will come in. If he has a dispute with a business partner and the matter gets to court, that means it's his children
There can be no
that will sit to hear the
resolution.
judgment, because he would have been long gone.
So it also calls to question how the wheels of justice grind in Nigeria. They are too slow. Right from prosecution, right down to even the litigation and all of that. It is way too slow.
Apollo, another issue is when these courts give judgment, everybody becomes confused. Judgments are supposed to provide clarity and direction.
Yes.
But there are judgments, even from the Supreme Court, that left everybody bewildered. Needed further interpretation. In fact, when the Supreme Court gives judgment in some instance, you now go back to the High Court to say, interpret what the Supreme Court has said. What does this speak about? Is it that they are afraid to put their feet down and say, this is the way to, this is our position?
Yes,
Ababulu, before you come.
It happened with PDP, it happened with the Labour Party. Labour Party case is back in the High Court, up to the Court of Appeal now. The High Court sacked Abure, saying the Supreme Court sacked him. Abure has gone to the Court of Appeal. That's the matter. We'll get back to the Supreme Court.
I called a member of the Turaki faction, very top member of the Supreme Court yesterday. He said the Wiki group are living in a world of deceiving themselves.
Illusion.
That there was no pronouncement that recognizes the caretaker committee in the judgment. So you have, whether I've not seen a copy.
It's a matter for another court case.
You see,
so let them go to court to interpret it.
They say that, so that means the thing will drag. So if judiciary is given, now you have nullified this, you have nullified that, you have nullified this, then where does the leadership rest in the face of this? And I think this is a case that clarity must be from the pronouncement of the justices. There must be clarity on the direction of which
Abulu.
Yesterday you are talking to the judiciary, and I said I hope they are listening to you. And before the appeal yesterday, did they listen to you? Did they not listen to you? And you are among those Nigerians are also asking the judiciary to reinvent itself, like Kunle Adewale rightly said. Judiciary has thrown more confusion. I was just telling you before the program, I said, Anyanwu Abdurrahman suspended. Appeal Court upholds their suspension. Anyanwu goes back to say no, his suspension was not taken to court. Ibadan Convention nullified. Of the caretaker committee. Now, so the confusion is so neck deep that I heard just now that Adolfo Wabara-led BOT are going to meet to see how they resolve. And yesterday, Barrister Mieson was addressing the press, and he said he's inviting those other people to come for settlement. Let them agree, probably because of the upholding of the suspension of his people, the Anyanwu and Abdurrahman. So when these confusions are thrown out there, it shows that you have put the man on the cross and you have put the nail, and you want to nail the cross, nail the man to the wood completely. So I beg you, Supreme Court, if this matter comes to you, quickly dispense of this justice, so that, as I said yesterday, justice denied. I keep to my words that every political party recognized by INEC is owned by the citizens of Nigeria. You cannot insult citizens to their faces. You cannot push them to the wall, because these parties are run by citizens. I made reference to NDC yesterday. Democratic Congress. This is the first time I'm seeing
Seraki Dixon's,
a big fish like Seraki Dixon jumping into that party. So there's the common party the other time. And so these parties exist. Insofar that human beings, there are no animals that will run political parties. So the judiciary must respect the people in that party. And another line of thought is, could it be that the APC is jittery, that the PDP can bounce back with all its might? There's somebody, Kuli can remind us who wrote, is it Wole Soyinka that wrote the beautiful ones are not yet born? The ones that yes. The beautiful ones are not yet born. Even though we have the DIGs now, as I described them, desperate, insincere, and greedy politicians on the fray, they should know that the young are coming. People that will bounce back and tell you, yes, this PDP will take it back. Because don't forget, the party has structures all around the states. The Zamfara governor that has jumped to APC, he didn't carry the structure, the building, and the secretariat with him. The secretariat alone, if someone comes to the party and says, I want to fund, I want to run, I want to push, anything can happen.
Now, when they go with the structures though. Because most times when they go, they will still have a foothold. And Akwa Ibom governor started it. He left PDP for APC, but still maintained a stranglehold
on the structures of the PDP.
That's why Adebayo Aboduri came up with the principle of what did you call it? Polygamy.
Political polygamy.
Political polygamy. You put your controls on. But APC is beneficiary now. Zamfara governor has moved. He's moving to meet the man he dislodged, Matawale, who may be nursing the ambition to return as governor.
Like it is happening in Delta State, where Omagege is insisting that the congresses and all the that have taken place so far is a nullity. That his own, he had his own parallel Congress, and he's insisting that he has his own chairmanship candidate who has won his own Congress election. And so, where does all this lead to? At the initial stage of this defection, we pointed out this issue that those who are already in the party, who play key role, are now being dislodged because immediately a governor defects. They handed over to him the
majority of the structure.
The flag of leader of the party.
001.
And so they claim to be the leader. Like APC in Zamfara now, the governor of PDP who left yesterday, he will be proclaimed the leader. So, and the leader wants to be in total control. And so those who are there before, they also have ambition.
There's even an issue in Bauchi. We understand that the governor has been having tete-a-tete with the people in APC. Probably he doesn't want to jump just yet. This is his last tenure. And some people say he's considering to jump after the April 28th to May ending window to jump peacefully to the APC so that he can get compensated after his tenure. So these are greedy politicians, I must say. Is there any politician that have you and I in heart, Amici? People, they are just self-centered, self-interest.
By the Electoral Act 2026, parties must submit their electronic register to INEC 21 days before primaries. 21 days before April 28th, when primaries are supposed to start.
Today is 10th
so
March.
You know why that's in part of the reason it was inserted there. If you want to decamp from any party, including the APC, you have to do it 21 days before April 28th. Because if you want to contest in another party, the law says you must be a registered member. And if your name is not on the e-register, you can't run
You're not a registered member.
You can't run for primary. So for any politician that will want to defect now, if you won't get ticket where you are, you have a limited period to do it.
No, one question I want to ask about this e-register. How effective is INEC monitoring of this e-register? Have they left it to the whims and caprices of political parties? They can be doctored. They can be doctored.
INEC does not have any
all they
reason
need
to monitor them.
Membership of party. You see, the problem we have since 1999 and I keep on saying, I've said so several times on this program, is that we don't have true political parties. Not even the APC that is waxing stronger today. We don't have true political party. What we have are transactional vehicles to contest election. That's so members who are supposed to fund the party, there's no membership, full membership list, authentic membership list, who are supposed to be making monthly contribution. That was what was done in the past. Monthly contribution in running the party so that you can reduce the influence of godfathers who are now the one funding the parties. And then they are the one dictating who becomes what.
No, money bags. If you say God, there are some godfathers that don't have money. So
it is still what is described as the Baba Sokwe factor. Baba Sokwe factor. But for me, basically, I see a recurrence of what happened in 2003, 23 years ago, when the PDP was swallowing all the other parties. It led to the death of some parties. The Alliance for Democracy is one of those parties that disappeared after a while. But
or transmuted.
Well, whatever happened, but today we no longer have the Alliance for Democracy holding anything of relevance anywhere in Nigeria today. The bottom line is this: the PDP attracted all the politicians of note at that time. The APC is doing the same now. I hope the APC is learning from history, because when we fail to learn from history, we repeat it.
Okay, the thing is that when there are no opposition party, the ruling party becomes the opposition to itself. And when the opposition is from within, it's more dangerous because you don't know who's working for you and who's against you. When you go to your strategy meeting, you don't know who those that are recording your meetings to relay it to your opponents. That's the danger. So when opposition is not there, the opposition comes from within. A lesson for the APC, and it has happened to PDP. Let's have the mails now. Rena, are you hoping to register for any of the political parties?
Not at all.
Why? Why wouldn't you get registered?
Except I will be given 500 billion naira, just as Daud Alawa of Zamfara alleged that every defecting governor was getting before he finally joined them yesterday. I'm sure his 500 billion naira would be smiling at him already.
So when next we see him, we'll ask him, where's your 500 billion?
Exactly, because he says he was not getting any palliative, and that's because he was in the opposition political party. Now that he's with them, we want to see the check and the handshake and the pictures. I hope he comes back to tell us that he has also received his squaw.
What is squaw? Squaw is the one you receive. Well, if you don't know, what journalists call squaw in Abuja is honorarium. I don't want to call it brown envelope. Because even international bodies give honorarium. International institutions, international firms, they give honorarium. It's Nigerians that call it brown envelope. Thanks for coming. If you visit my traditional ruler, you have to package something to greet the traditional ruler. So it's honorarium. So for the journalists in Abuja, it's FWA. But for lawyers, it's called legal fee. When you consult a lawyer, it's consultancy fee.
And in defection, maybe thanks for defecting. Be welcome to our party.
Okay, let's have the mails.
Very well then. Our first one is from Abuja, sent in by Dixon Eka. It says the high cost of fuel that Nigerians are made to pay today is not necessarily because of the Israel-US war with Iran that blocked the Strait of Hormuz, leading to a surge in the international price of crude oil, but mainly because of the mismanagement of the foreign exchange by the Tinubu administration, which has badly weakened the naira and strengthened the dollar so high, and the economy is in comatose. In 2008, when crude oil was selling for between $147 to $150 per barrel in the international market, and with dollars selling for 150 naira. The pump price of petrol was 65 naira per liter, $110 per barrel, as the price of crude in the international market is not such a big amount compared to the past. But Nigerians are suffering with inability to go to work because of the harsh economic policies of the Tinubu administration, with a very harsh exchange practice. There is no governance without the welfare of the people. Hence, President Bola Tinubu should look for a way of reducing the exchange rate to enable Nigerians afford petrol and transportation fares to work. From Abuja is Omolayo John. It says PDP must obey the court's order now. Appeal to the Supreme Court may waste time. Once the biggest political party in Africa spread offices and promised 60 years in power, it is time for PDP to get rid of self-afflicted political leprosy and House of Commotion saga. PDP must position herself to be a formidable opposition watchdog to the ruling party and build a strong political party. Prosper Heaven from Wuse here in Abuja says the recent interview involving Daniel Bwala, spokesperson to President Bola Tinubu, has once again revealed an important lesson about human nature and politics. During the interview, he struggled to defend both his past statement about the ruling party and the present administration he now represents. This situation reminds us how easily people can change positions, almost like a chameleon changing its colors. Many people strongly condemn certain actions, policies, or administrations when those things are not in their favor. But once the situation changes and begins to favor them, the very things they once criticized suddenly become worthy of praise. There is also another lesson from this episode. If a leader is truly performing well, defending such leadership should not be difficult. In Nigeria, we say Gari does not need advertisement to sell. Gari is a common staple in many Nigerian homes, and because of its value and usefulness, it naturally sells itself. In the same way, if the administration of President Bola Tinubu is doing excellently well, its results will speak loudly for it. People will not struggle to defend what is obviously working. Therefore, this moment should serve as a reflection point for everyone. It should be a wake-up call for those in leadership to ensure that their performance speaks for them. When leadership delivers real results, the evidence becomes the strongest defense. As citizens, we can only continue to hope and pray that things get better for our country. Nigeria deserves leadership whose impact is clear enough that no one needs to struggle to explain it. At the same time, this episode reminds us of the complex nature of human behavior, how quickly opinions can change depending on where one stands at a given time. May God save Nigeria. Amen. And finally, for time factor, is a mail from Kuba. Kuba is in Abuja, sent in by Amechi Obochi. Says last week, no fewer than 100 people were reportedly killed, while more than 200 others remain missing after 4 days of brutal attacks in Gwoza local government area of Borno State. As more reports emerged from Ngoshe village, bodies were said to be scattered across the streets of what has now become a ghost town. This comes at a time when Mr. Daniel Bwala, one of President Tinubu's media aides, appeared on Al Jazeera, telling the world that insecurity has reduced under his principle. One is compelled to ask, what is truly happening? Where is General Christopher Musa, who was widely celebrated upon his appointment as Minister of Defense? Where is Nuhu Ribado, who once suggested that some of these terrorists are our brothers? Whatever the response may be, these tragic killings are now being counted among the supposed improvement in security under President Tinubu's administration. Perhaps this is why many believe we should simply remain silent and carry on with our lives as though nothing has happened. However, the president must recognize that Nigeria is currently facing a serious war against terrorists, one in which they increasingly appear to be gaining ground. Thank you, everyone, for the mails. Continue to send them to politicalplatform@darkgroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. What's the price of petrol in your area?
I bought for 1,300 this morning.
This 1,003.
Yes, and the diesel is going for 1,700. So I think what some people have said is government should revisit the issue of subsidy. And this is where government law for the citizens has to show.
Okay.
It's not a Tinubu's creation. We all know, but then government should quickly reduce the burden on citizens.
I think this issue raises one fundamental point, and that point is that do we even have reserve? Do we provide for reserve that can be used
during emergencies?
Emergency. During the Gulf War, America did put a situation in place in such a way that while that the price of oil increased and the price of what we are buying in Nigeria also increased, American increase was minimal. And from information even from America as at yesterday, the increase in fuel there is just
60 cents.
60 cents.
Less than $1. So what did the US government do?
They have reserve.
It didn't increase by 60,
they have reserve.
60 cents.
They have
less than
$1. What they did around that time was that they did not import from any country during the Gulf War. They did not import. They relied heavily on their reserve. What are we doing in Nigeria?
And so when you have an NPC Limited that's supposed to have depots around the country connected with pipelines, these are areas where even for food security, if there's war now, can we rely on ourselves to feed ourselves when we can't even feed ourselves during peacetime? A lot of people are hungry. So what other nations do is that they stockpile food in case of emergency. They stockpile fuel in case of emergency. These are countries, governments that think about the welfare of their citizens. Here, they think about themselves. So you have to store it by yourself. That's why if you go to houses, homes, you see them store fuel, and very dangerous because it's very highly inflammable and all that. But that's the way it is in Nigeria, and that's how we have found ourselves. Okay, we can't take comments from anywhere now. I have to tell you, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good time.